Welcome to the Lamelle Skin Lab podcast. Today we are going to be talking about melasma. I am so excited today to have Nadia and Shireen with me, and we're going to have a conversation about melasma. Now, I know if you are listening, you probably think this is such old hat, but at Lamelle Skin Pod, we realize that there is so much education to still be done on this condition, and we really want to inspire and just give hope that there is something that we can do about melasma, also known as chloasma. But before I fall into this technical conversation, I'd really like to ask you to introduce yourselves and maybe tell us a little bit about when you first saw this condition. I think, Shireen, would you like to start?
Sure, no probs. So I'm Shireen. I guess I'm better known as Mrs. Windley on the socials. Pigmentation or melasma became something that sort of came into my life after the birth of my second child. He's 6 years old now. And after my pregnancy, I just had what they call the mask of melasma. And I went from being able to just leave the house makeup free and not really stress about it to having to put a full face of foundation on every day and get like a fine art degree in concealer and green stuff and red stuff and pink stuff and all the different kind of things to balance. And yeah, I came across Lamelle and I saw that people were achieving sort of great results. And I didn't know that you could really manage it so well. And I think at the time I wasn't aware that it's something that you have to do as a process. It's something that you can manage and live with. And I think the greatest shift for me was going from something that I felt I had no control over and was really kind of a bit of a confidence knock to realizing that I was able to manage it and control it. And I think that the results over time, they give you the sense of empowerment around your skin and your confidence comes back. And so that's been kind of the start of my journey and where I am now.
Fabulous. What did you see on your face?
So I had a full-on brown, like a brown patch. I called it my leopard print face. Like leopard print fashion, fabulous. Leopard print face, not so much. I had this, so my forehead, my cheeks, it really was like a mask. It was like if you don't blend your foundation in 100% around the edges, I had that dark marks, and it would get slightly more extreme. It would improve slightly, but it was really becoming an issue. And I would really notice it in, like it sounds crazy, but selfies with your children at the beach. I'd be like, oh my goodness, like I didn't realize it was actually that extreme. Yeah, so it was very obvious.
Fabulous. Nadia.
Hi Karen. Hello. So my name is Nadia Bekes en ek werk in die Afrikaanse vermaaklikheidsbedryf. Excited to be here today. I've also been working with Lamelle for many, many years. Has it been 15, 20 years?
15 years.
Such a long time.
It's been
I didn't realize it had been that long.
Nadia was one of our first ambassadors.
Yes, and Karen actually introduced me to the product or to the product range. But what's interesting is, like Shireen said, melasma, I know it as pigmentation. Is there a difference? I'm falling in with questions here. Karen?
So melasma is a pigmented or a skin pigmentation condition. We talk about big word dyschromia.
Wow.
That's a big word. So dyschromia is hyperpigmentation, and melasma is one of the types of hyperpigmentation. We also talk about hormonal pigment. And then you have two other forms of pigmentation that we see a lot in our medical aesthetic industry, which is hyperpigmentation that's caused by inflammation. We talk about PIH or post-inflammatory hyperpigmentation. And then sun damage. So the liver spots that we see on older skin, that's also a condition of hyperpigmentation. So it's one of the conditions.
So what's interesting for me is what Shireen also said. After the birth of my second child, I actually started noticing something's different because I have freckles and I've grown used to them, but it's like big freckles. It had these spots all over my face and started going for treatments, in salon treatments, and then they put that blue light on your face. Yes. And obviously, usually you don't see it because someone else is looking through the light.
Terrifying, that blue light.
But mostly they have a screen where you can actually see the results. And what was the most interesting thing for me is that the damage was not on the top of my skin. It was actually damage that was done, whether it was through hormones or sun damage, but the damage was lying very deep within my skin. And then I started my process of actually working with in-salon treatments, with peels, with the right products. And I also realized it's a process. It almost got worse before it got better. And to stick with that process and to om nie moed te verloor nie, to not lose hope in the process, I think that for me was quite challenging. But working with the right products and the right people, I definitely have seen many results. My husband even now knows the word hyperpigmentation, and he has a car that has a sunroof. And he loves to open it, but as soon as he opens that roof, he just hears me saying hyperpigmentation, hyperpigmentation, because I think the sun activates it, if I understand that correctly.
Yes.
So even in the car, I now wear sunscreen or a hat, or we just don't open the sunroof.
At all. Live in a dark little corner.
My husband keeps a spare cap in the side door of his car because he likes to open the sunroof all the time. And I'm like, my skin.
Yes.
And so he's like, here's your cap. Right, put on your cap.
That's
because
exactly
he's
what I do.
realized, and he's seen it when we go away in like summer holiday or beaches or whatever. He can physically see that if I have a day or two where I've been, maybe not like reapplied SPF, or I'm not wearing my cap, he's like, yo, it's back. I'm like, I told you. I always have to do that. So it's interesting. Sunroofs and cars as well.
And the great thing is you can actually do something about it, because you get used to it and you think, well, this is just what I look like, or I'm getting older, like you said, age spots and those kind of things. But also having a history of skin cancer, in my family, these things become really important, because if you don't look after it, it can become worse very quickly.
Very quickly, yes.
So is melasma associated with cancer, or is that completely two different
they
things?
are different conditions, so they don't link into each other. Thank goodness. Sun does worsen melasma. Let me do a little bit of technical.
Great.
So melasma is the condition that is triggered by hormone fluctuation. It's also called cloasma. Technically, cloasma is melasma in pregnancy. So if you tell me you've got cloasma, so it's the same thing. It's just when you're pregnant, you have cloasma. When you've had the baby, you've got melasma. Medicine, science, Anyway, it is triggered by hormone fluctuation. Mostly we see it in pregnancy. Around 40% of women will get melasma or cloasma during their pregnancy. And of that 40%, 90% resolves when they've had the baby.
Yeah.
So you might have seen it you might have had a little bit of melasma or cloasma in your first pregnancy, but not seen it. And it then reoccurs in your second pregnancy. It can also happen when we go onto the pill. So I always giggle about that, because when we were young, just after Noah landed the ark, we always got told, if you go on the pill, you're going to get blood clots. Everybody now gets told you're going to get dark marks on your face. Okay, so going onto the pill will change in hormone. That will create it. Going off the pill can also have an effect like that. And then we also see it a lot in fertility treatments.
Okay.
And in many cases, once again, it resolves. But for some reason, 10% of the cloasma or the hormone change then doesn't go away. And it's of that 10%, probably 10% have resistant melasma, where even when we treat it, it's very difficult to treat. That can make people feel very disheartened. It's like, I'm doing all this stuff, I'm spending all this money. Sometimes it goes away, but when I stop using the product, it comes back again. And that's the key to this challenge, is the fact that once that melanocyte, the melanocyte is the cell that makes melanin, once it is triggered, you can't turn it off again. We can slow it down. We can try and blend its activity to the rest of your melanocytes in your skin, but we're going to need to use active ingredients and active treatments. So it is something that once you find that you have melasma, you're probably going to be treating all your life. And the key there is, yes, complicated ingredients. Sometimes it is costly. You'll do peels, you'll do microneedling, and we'll get it under control. And then I know, Shireen, with you, when you go onto the beach, it's going to come back, because sun and heat.
It's the heat.
Heat triggers melasma. That melanocyte loves the heat. And the poor thing's just protecting. Okay?
Overachiever.
It's an overprotective.
Overachieving melanocytes.
The problem is there are probably about 300 of them in one little space that decide that, whoa, I need to protect. What's going on here? All right, I see inflammation, It's that it will explode, and it will make melanin. It's just protecting. But when you've seen that darkening, is to go in quickly to your therapist, your skincare professional, and go, we need to sort this out. Get quite aggressive with the treatments, but then also we need to be careful with the aggression, because when we create inflammation, the melanocyte doesn't go, I see inflammation. is it sun or is she in the sauna or are we doing a chemical peel? It just goes, yes,
Something's-
I can make melanin.
I feel like there's space for like a kids program where we can animate all of these and actually teach children
I
from a
would
very young
love to
age
do that.
about all these different characters. I really think there's potential here. We should
melanocyte.
speak. Yes, absolutely. Can over treating something, like you said, make it worse? Is there something like over treating your skin?
I think the big thing is just to prepare your skin well for treatments. So you will see when you are doing peels, your skincare therapist will go, okay, make sure you're wearing your sunscreen every day. So so let's talk about pre-treatment.
Yeah.
You'll also use your pigment inhibitor. So in our case, it would be the brighter concentrate or brighter serum. If your therapist is wanting to do an aggressive treatment, she'll go use this for 14 days, twice a day, all over your skin. Because what we're doing is we're basically giving the melanocyte some Valium. We're calming it down. We're going, Guy, it's
Gel.
okay. We're going to get to a point where we're going to be creating inflammation, but we want you to be calm and relaxed about this and not overreact.
Yes.
So that's
Slow
one
roll.
of the preps. We also, your therapist might put you onto something that's got a little bit of a low pH so that your skin's used to a low pH. And they might prep with an exfoliator as well. So there's a prep period to any kind of aggressive treatments. And also when someone's got any kind of pigment or an attitude towards getting pigment or when you have a risk for hyperpigmentation, what we will also do is we will make sure that directly after the treatment, you're already putting on your pigment inhibitors as well. So you won't be stopping
Fantastic.
your brighter serum or brighter concentrate. You'll go into aftercare products like restorative balm or barrier, and you might use another serum, but it's very important to keep that melanocyte nice and calm and keep the inflammation under control. So that's not so much an over-treatment.
So you'd not be able to do that while you are pregnant. I remember while being pregnant and breastfeeding, my therapist Penny said we can't treat this now. We are aware of this condition, but this is not something we are going to treat now. So I think we also need to understand that our bodies go through certain things and that it's not forever. So like we said, there's a process and you have to treat it at the right time because treating it at the wrong time, especially with these active products, is not a good thing for your baby and your pregnancy.
So it's the whole trigger. The hormones are triggering it. So we can treat, but it's not going to be very successful because of the fact that your hormones, the fluctuation in hormones, the hormones that the baby produces and that you're producing are going to affect your treatment. So
what can you do while you're
pregnant?
pregnant?
You maintain.
Okay.
You maintain while you're pregnant. Very important for patients with melasma is the heat protection and the sun protection. So that's one condition where I really am insistent that if you're not wearing sunscreen, you actually are wasting your time and you're probably wasting your money. Because the melanocyte's biggest trigger is sun. And if you're not protecting that melanocyte, you're not protecting the cells surrounding the melanocyte. So that little melanocyte feeds melanin into the cells around it. We need to protect them as well because they're constantly in conversation. In your skin, if you could hear all the messages, I'm sure we would never sleep. Because your cells are constantly going, okay, everything's okay. If they get hurt, they can also trigger the melanocyte to make more melanin. So it's important to protect from the sun. It's important to know that if you are in a heated environment that you need to cool your skin. If you are, I know from experience with working with ladies who were caterers, for instance, in the kitchen, put those fans on, honey, because just that heat and the steam. Don't go and sit in a sauna for 3 hours. If you are going to Mecca on Hajj, you need to need to know your melanin is probably going to worsen because it's 54 degrees Celsius there. Even at night, it's dark. I mean, it's hot. It's dark. Good.
And is cooling your skin as simple as just having a spritz or something that you
or just in an air
drinking
conditioned
water,
environment.
hydrating, those kind of things? Is it as simple as that?
So when I was training really hard, like twice a day, and I was doing like an afternoon shift in summer, like a 3 or 4 p.m. thing, I got myself like a cooling face mist spray because I noticed that when I started using that, it made a big difference. So I was like, I'm gymming so hard and I'm eating so well and my pigmentations, it was the heat of the trade. And I think that is the trickiest thing with it. Like you say, if it's one that you manage, it's not a quick fix. It's just understanding what triggers it. And that's been really helpful for me, understanding it, and you know where to intervene and sort of do those things that make a difference. But that cooling of your face makes a massive difference. Well, it did for me.
And then also in terms of contraceptives, you spoke about the pill. Other contraceptives, do they also interact
So
with
it's
Mirena?
any
Is it
kind of
Mirena oil?
Yeah, so the challenge with Mirena is in many cases we go off the pill and then put the Mirena on.
Yeah.
You're changing our hormone levels. So you can have melasma appear then. It's less, it happens less, but that can happen. Depo-Provera, the injections, they can also trigger it. So any kind of contraceptive can. And this is also another important point because I went on the pill and now I've got melasma. If I go off the pill, will it go away? Unfortunately not.
Because you've triggered it now.
Have you turned it on?
The switch has been switched.
Oh, wow.
Sure, guys.
And
So
the
now you need
reason
to manage
why- now you need to manage it.
Okay.
So the switch has been switched, and it's like that main, that main switch has been pushed. It's on now. That you're not going to turn that melanocyte off necessarily again. We can't turn melanocytes off. That's such a bad term to use because they protect you. But once that switch is switched, it's active, and you want to then inhibit the melanocyte. So please don't go off the pill because if you then fall pregnant, the melanocyte's going to make even more melanin. Okay, so stay on your pill, start managing it. Get to a skincare therapist that can help you. And we will probably, what is your skincare therapist going to do? She might start with chemical peels. Those peels are purely just removing the pigment that's already in the skin. So that's already been formed.
The ones that you see.
The ones that you see.
But the ones that you don't see are the problem. Those are the ones
coming
you
to
need
the
to sort
surface.
out.
So it can be, in many cases, it's epidermal. So it is actually in the top layer of the skin. But there might be some dermal pigment. And for that, we're going to use microneedling. But she'll start off with peels to see. She or he will start off with peels to see how far they go. They're going to put you onto a sunscreen that they're going to insist you use daily. They probably, so we would suggest the full Luminesse range. And in Luminesse, what we're doing is we're calming the melanocyte from multiple pathways. One of them being genetic. So there's actually a gene that doesn't work very well that we have to activate once again. And that's also why we see there is a genetic predisposition. So if your mom's had melasma or cloasma, you've got a higher risk of getting it. Doesn't mean that you definitely will, but there is a higher risk of getting it. And then she might also put you onto Oval D3, which is an oral supplement. And you go, but I'm drinking a tablet. This is on my skin. What Oval does is it's a super antioxidant. So it adds protection because we're going to use antioxidants in our products as well. We're protecting all the skin cells. And what it also does, it actually slows down the MITF. MITF is the master controller gene that makes melanin. Technical again, sorry guys.
It's so nice to speak to someone that
MITF.
knows so much. Corin, you are amazing. Wow.
And then it also stops the transfer of melanin to the actual cells. So there are multiple pathways, and it can get very technical.
I've used the supplement, and it's just great. I just even
Makes
felt
such a
great.
difference.
I mean,
Yes.
my skin looked amazing.
Yes.
But I also felt good.
The antioxidant is working all over your body, and pycnogenol, which is the active ingredient, we use pycnogenol at Lamelle in a lot of our products because it has a lot of data to support multiple things, and the feeling good is related to that. It improves blood flow, it helps with capillaries. You'll also find that you don't burn as easily if you do go into the sun. So it is like, somebody said it's like drinking your sunscreen, and I was like,
Not exactly.
no. It just protects because you've got sun. One of the things
It's
that
like
sun
also
does.
drinking sunscreen,
like,
but still you have to
still
wear
need
your
to use your
sunscreen.
I do double dose in December though.
Yes.
Oval for me is
Oh,
I do
really?
it on purpose, and I've noticed such a difference when I do and when I don't. It's the burning.
Yes.
Like it makes a massive difference.
And you can preempt it with
Yeah.
drinking. So for 2 weeks before you go on holiday, you can actually push up your dose just to give you more protection.
But now is Oval safe during pregnancy and breastfeeding?
It is. There's actually a trial that was done on pain and discomfort associated with the ligaments loosening in your pelvis during pregnancy.
Yeah.
And that was done in second and third trimester and into until birthing, and they found that it improved the pain. So we know that it's safe to drink during pregnancy. It's
There
an
we go.
antioxidant.
So you can like do something in the management of
Of
pigmentation, and that's a safe. And it does other cool bonus stuff as well.
It does all the
other bonus
extra
extras.
stuff. Yes. I just what I just want to say is in pregnancy, don't expect your melasma to go
Yeah.
away. Or your cloasma to go away, because the trigger is still there. So yes, you're definitely going to be active. You're not going to go, this is not helping. Let me just not do anything. Just wash my face with water. No, please use use the products that you can use. Drink the Oval. Use your brightest serum and concentrate. Continue to apply your sunscreen during the day, because you will find that it's easier to treat when you've had your baby.
So
Corinne, sorry,
No,
Shireen,
yeah,
the contrast on a lighter skin obviously looks darker, but is melasma something that different skin types deal with?
All skin types get it. There's a higher risk there's a higher risk in darker skin types. We talk about Fitzpatrick skin type 4 and 5. So your Asian and African skins, and I don't want to limit it to that because, or Indian, Asian, African skins, but very dark eyes and hair have a higher risk for melasma.
Wow.
But because we're so sun exposed, we see a lot of it in all colors of skin, all ages. It worsens sometimes in menopause. So,
yay.
yay.
We got that to look forward to now.
Amazing.
No, yours
Can't
is going to
wait.
go away.
And it can be treated. So I mean that's
Yes.
that's the great thing, and it should be treated because I think it does influence your confidence and your
Definitely does.
overall skin health, I
Yes.
suppose, right?
Well, it's not an unhealthy condition, but it is the fact that you definitely look older if you have melasma. It's a confidence thing. Dr. Bradley started working on Luminesse because he met a woman in his practice. So Dr. Bradley Wagenmaker or Wagemaker is our formulator of our products.
We love Dr. Bradley.
We do. He had a lady in his practice that came to him with melasma, which she'd had for many years. Her husband had never seen her without makeup on.
That's the
she
thing,
would
right? You
wake
feel like you
up-
have to wear
Yeah.
makeup.
That's what happens.
She woke up before he woke up every morning and put her makeup on because she didn't want him to see her. Now that's and with Luminesse, he was able to get it to a point where she was confident to be without her makeup. Didn't go away completely. In some cases, we do get it to go away completely. You have to be patient though, and you have to be good at using your products. And I'm sure you both can talk about how that affects your routine in the day. But confident enough to actually wake up with her husband.
Well, one thing I can say about the products and using it is the routine for me has almost become sacred. It's become my time because I don't have a lot of time to myself. I've got 2 small kids. I'm running around the whole time. And the Lamelle routine for me has specifically because I've got different products. So to use the serum and to use this, it's something that I know I'm investing in myself.
Yeah.
It's for me. I can see results happening. It boosts my confidence. So the routine is it's almost like a little sacred me time. I don't know if it's the same for you,
Well,
Shireen.
and does it take 3 hours though?
No, I don't have 3 hours.
Super quick,
Ever.
no.
It's super quick. I'm saying sacred time. It's like 10 minutes, but it's my
3
10,
on a good day.
It's my 10 minutes
Only 10 minutes.
that I have, and I go through my little routine. And what's also nice is the products for me last really, really long. So especially if you have a variety of products. And it's nice to know in the morning I do this, and this is what I do in the evening, and every second day I do this, and I have them all stacked out, and they look beautiful,
They do
and
look
they smell
beautiful.
lovely. So for me, it's really something that that I used to invest in myself.
Yeah. So for me, I think like a new routine. Like I remember when I started, I had the basics. I had like a cleanser, my favorite serum, which is that one with the fancy T word in it, the brighter concentrate. What's it called?
Brighter concentrate with a T in it.
It
Decabutin.
contained a T, and you told me what that, and that's my favorite ingredient. What's it called?
Copper tripeptide. No, it's not copper tripeptide.
I'm going to let you think about it.
The triple peptide complex.
Maybe that was one, but you told me that there was one that the melanocytes do not like. Like it's like a
That's
really stern
Decabutin.
teacher, like the school principal. It sorts it out, and I love
Decabutin
that
goes,
because
calm
whenever I
down.
use
There you
that, whenever I use that serum, I'm like,
It's with the
you're
D.
doing the job, right? But I think when you start, like I started quite basic, to sort of 3 steps in an SPF. And now I've obviously added, like Nard says, like you add different serums. You don't use them all every day. You use them, you learn what your skin needs as it needs it. But it's a bit like when you learn to drive a car. You change the gears consciously in the beginning. And then you realize one day you're doing it subconsciously. My skincare routine was like that. In the beginning, it was, okay, what do I do in the morning? What order do I put this in? And now it is really second nature. It's completely subconscious. I don't need to even think about it.
But don't you also find that you have been empowered just in terms of the knowledge around
Yes.
skin to have this conversation with Karen, who obviously knows so much about
Yeah.
it, but also to have a skin therapist who goes through the process with you. So the products do change depending on the season or where you are hormonally or being pregnant or breastfeeding, those kind of things. And also anti-aging, because now we are not 20 anymore.
We're closer to 50 than 29.
So
we just need to embrace it.
we need to embrace these things. But that's also, it's such an amazing space to be in, and there are products that are specifically designed for that. So if you have the right products for your condition and for your age and for the season where you are in your life, you really get these wonderful results, and it makes it worth it.
100%. And I think it's the knowledge that comes with it, right?
That's exactly it. So you're empowered, right?
You're empowered. So I understand what I'm using and why I'm using it, and like why it works and why I'm doing it, right? But I also understand, like, you speak about inflammation as a trigger for melasma. My skin has become a really good sign of my lifestyle or lack of self-care sometimes. So I know when I'm having a flare-up, if I'm doing everything that I'm supposed to do in terms of treatment and peels and that sort of stuff, I know that maybe my diet is not great, or maybe I'm not sleeping well enough. And I found that really interesting, is understanding the inside result, like the inside stuff and the outside stuff is a dual, like it's a tag team.
Absolutely. Sleep and stress. Like if I'm not sleeping enough, or we've recently moved houses, and my skin was the first thing that actually had a breakout, and I was like, why is this
Warning
happening?
signs.
Stress.
And I literally went straight to the salon and I asked Penny, what is going on here? And she's like, Nadia, you're stressing.
Yeah.
So let's handle it. We're going to calm down the skin. We're going to tell them to relax so you can relax. But it's just your body dealing with life. But it's important to be aware of these factors because it does indicate what's going on. And like I said, you can handle it then. If you know, if you are empowered enough with the knowledge, you can actually do something about it. Go to bed earlier. Drink some more water.
Like when you're stressed, you don't end up stressing more about your skin because you're like, no, this is fine. Been here before. This is what I need to do. Like I really have learned to trust the process.
Yeah.
Like
That's
you just
the thing.
I know
is a
it's not forever.
process.
It's just for now. And it's like, okay, cool. I'm going to have to do X, Y, and Z. A bit of a peel, a bit of this. Be really good with my Ovale and my sunscreen. And it does work.
Yeah.
And I think that's also, it's not like you said earlier. It's not a hopeless situation.
It's not. It really isn't.
And I think the first year I had it with a newborn and lack of sleep and all that, I really felt like I was stuck with this. I was like, am I going to have to put on a full face of makeup every day of my life? And then you kind of walk the process and the journey.
Yes.
And no, you realize it's not forever. It's just for now, if you do the right stuff.
And let's be honest, as women, we put ourselves last in line. We
Yes.
often put ourselves last in line, right? We take care of everybody and everything, and we have to be everything for everybody. And there's a lot of pressure on women in general just to do it all. But if we can start to understand that you can do what you can with what you have within your capabilities, and that's also okay, and that you as a person are enough, and you start putting yourself first. And ek praat nie van jy weet to be self-centered. I'm not talking about being self-centered, but to also just acknowledge that you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Yes. And that you need those 10 minutes a day.
100%.
And that if you spend those 10 minutes a day, you can correct what's going on. And that you don't have to go and sit in the shoe cupboard, in the cupboard with your shoes because your pigment's darkened because you were in the sun. So yeah, that is phenomenal. And there is hope.
And I think what else is key is, everyone always thinks, like I often have friends comments and they're like, because I have got a beautiful little stand with all my stuff now. And I do, like, I'm very spoiled. I've been part of the Lamelle family for a few years. And so I have got this and that and all the bells and whistles. But I got incredible results just from a 4-step Luminous program for 2 years before I added any of the other bells and whistles in. And I think people are often intimidated. They're like, well, I can't afford 3 serums and 2 moisturizers. I didn't need it. I got great results from a very simple.
Well, also interesting is
routine.
my journey started with acne problem.
Yes.
I had adult acne.
Did
I
you
had
have
such a
She had
bad.
that's why we
That's-
got hold of Nadia.
Guys, I'm
Yes.
learning
We
things.
need to
I'm
sort
learning
out
things
your
about
acne.
NARS.
Remember that it was very bad. I was actually working on a high profile TV production, and my skin was just
It
not
was not happy.
not happy. I had
And the
such bad
the
acne.
makeup artists were like, "Oh my word!"
It was horrible. And then got to Lamelle, and then we started that journey. So I can deal with the hyperpigmentation and the melasma now because I've sorted out the acne. And that's why when I get a flare up, when I'm stressing or in my face, I immediately handle that first.
Yes.
Start with that treatment and then focus on the long-term treatment, which is because I think the melasma is more of a long-term,
It is
the
yes.
long-term treatment. I think the acne I got under control, but that was lifestyle, diet, skin. It was a long journey to actually sort that out first.
Yes.
And that was also hormonal. There was a lot of aspects to that. I mean, that's a whole different conversation. But that the thing is, your skin changes and your life changes. But what I appreciate about Lamelle specifically is that no matter where I am, in what season of my life or what the problem is, there are specific products that deal with the issue at hand. But there are also maintenance products, which I can use even when my skin's doing great.
So if I can summarize, I think that there's definitely hope, that you definitely can
There is
treat
hope.
this. I think that
Well, we are examples of
we
that.
are examples
Here we
of
are,
it.
here we are.
Definitely examples of that. I know that you need to partner with someone who can help you through that. Because if you just look at everything on the shelf, everything that's available, if you listen to all the
overwhelming.
social media, it's very overwhelming. So find a therapist that you can partner with, and she's going to lead you through the process. It can be you with Lamelle, and that's what I love about Lamelle is you don't have to sit in the dark to treat your melasma. You can live your life. You can be next to the sport field on the beach with your kids. We've got a product range that you can start with very basically, and you can build up your range.
Yeah.
And then we've got okay, now my skin's changing. I need a little wigrumpie or I need to add the Botox. Please do that. And
What? Who gets
Just-
Botox? What do you
Has
mean?
Baby Botox, guys, low dosage, okay? Low dosage.
and it's manageable, and we
Yeah.
can have our confidence, and we can have the 10 minutes every day.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I think
minutes.
I love what you said there about you able to live your life because also, when I first started managing it, I became quite annoying. Like the kids would be swimming in the pool and I'd be sitting in the shade, or we'd go on holiday. Now I actually, it's going to sound terrible and don't shoot me, but I will live my life in December. I get in to see Helen. I book in November, I book for my first January appointment and I walk in there and she looks at me and she goes, "Yeah, you had fun." And I'm like, okay, cool, here we go. But I've also figured out that when I started, it was deep set, right?
Yes.
So it had to come to the surface and it was a longer process. But it's superficial in January
Yes.
because my skin was great end of November. I always say I have my best skin end of November, and then December we go a little bit sideways and then we pick it up again. But it's also knowing that it's an easy, not an easy fix, but it's fixable. So I also can just enjoy being with my kids. If I want to spend 4 hours boogie boarding without a cap on, so be it. And then we climb back on the wagon and we get it done. And I love that about Lamelle and the relationship with my therapist because life is life. Yeah, we have
It's
to
a
enjoy
true
our
partnership.
lives. Yeah.
And I also think we get used to looking a certain way and we accept, we're getting older and I have these spots and I have these things, but there are actually things that you can do about it.
Yeah.
And you don't have to look a certain way. You can be the best version of yourself because there are products and there are people that can help you. But you have to also, jy moet glo jy verdien dit. You know, you have to also,
You're worth,
you are worth it. You are really, really worth it. And it's 10 minutes. It's a few products that can boost your self-confidence and can really, really, really show beautiful results.
Look at that, hey? Mic drop. Just like,
Mic drop.
boom.
Oh, wow.
Boom.
And sunscreen. Are we saying sunscreen?
Always
Don't forget your sunscreen.
Sunscreen. I think, like when I started using sunscreen, just one last thing for you, Corinne, the importance of sunscreen. Because I was very much of the belief that you wore sunscreen when you were
Tanning.
on the soccer field, at the beach.
Yes.
But you schooled me in the fact that sunscreen is not just for the sun.
Yes. So we are sitting in a studio at the moment. We've got windows that are closed, but there's a little bit of sun coming in. So we are always exposed to sun. And we're exposed to the aging frequencies when we're in our cars, for instance, because that passes through glass. In South Africa, we are always in the sun. So I would suggest that you always put your sunscreen on. If you struggle with it, if you brush your teeth, if there's a routine that you do every day, if you're going to brush your teeth, put it next to your toothbrush. Put it on as you brush your teeth. Because you are exposed to the sun constantly. You might think you're not going out, but I know with me, I think we're going to do Netflix and chill, and we're going to keep the curtains closed, and then I need to hang up the washing, and then I see that the pot needs re-gardening, and before I know it, I've been in the sun for 3 hours. So just apply your sunscreen every day. And that's not just for melasma. That's for everybody.
For life
And
in
do you have to
general.
reapply? Is reapplication important?
We always we were under the impression that we needed to reapply every 2 to 3 hours because some of the ingredients in sunscreen actually, so how sunscreen works is that it absorbs the light and then it converts it to other energies and it protects the cells from that light energy that will destroy it. Those molecules get used up as you're in the sun. So we still advise reapply every 2 to 3 hours if you are going to be in the sun. If you are in and out of the office, in and out of the car, you're not spending time next to the rugby field, you've got your makeup on, you can apply once a day. We now also realize that, especially with sunscreens, it's more important to apply it before you go into the sun. And that nearly has become, so this is new research, that has become more important than reapplication.
So not when you're on the beach sitting there, before you actually go down.
Before you put your bikini on.
Okay.
My family think I'm insane. Like when we go on holiday, I have like they'll go to breakfast and then I cover myself head to toe and I waft around, I have my coffee, then I put on my cozy and I go. Because I read somewhere, I learned that it needs time
10 to 15 minutes
to almost activate. It needs time to sink in and form the barrier, which I thought was so interesting.
That
so
is so
while
interesting.
you're finding someone's shoes, have your sunscreen on.
And we are also teaching our kids to put
Always
on
finding
sunscreen.
their shoes.
So exactly when they brush their teeth, sunscreen. We just it's just part of their routine. They just have to do it.
Yeah, that excites me because our kids aren't going to age like we do.
What do you mean? We look amazing.
We're still aging. Anyway, ladies, it has been a phenomenal conversation.
Great chat.
Thank you very much for sharing
Thank
with
you.
me. And I look forward to another conversation about other subjects. Maybe we can get Nadia back for some talk on acne.
Fantastic.
I'm
Can't wait for
still
it.
blown away. That's amazing.
And can
So,
you imagine what my face looks like now?
But this is why
and
it's
where
so
it
great.
started?
Yeah. I know we're supposed to be wrapping up, but I think that's also amazing is you meet somebody at a certain point in their skincare journey. I would have never had any idea. And I think that's also, I like seeing people who are like slightly further along in a journey than me because I'm like, okay, cool. Well, if she could achieve it, then I can. And I've definitely felt that with Lamelle watching the other sort of squad members and stuff. It's great. You can see it works.
And access to information, Corin. Like if people have questions, can they contact you on a website? Can people reach out? How do people get in touch with Lamelle?
The Lamelle website has a contact us page or an area, and you can just put your contact information in there, ask the questions. They get allocated to whomever they think will answer it best, and
then dedicated skin therapist in your area.
We will allocate you to. So tell us which area you're in, and we will then send you a list of options. And go and find someone that you really can partner with. I think that's important. Is we know people by people. So your first therapist might not be the person that you want to go to. But yeah.
And sorry, last question.
Sure.
When is it too late or too early to start this journey?
Never.
Look at that, eh? She's like, let me just tie it up in a nice little bow for you.
Yeah, never. Start when you get there.
Okay,
when you're ready,
fantastic.
go find a therapist.
No matter how old or how young you are, your time is
Your
now.
time is now, honey.
Exactly.
If you needed a sign, this is your sign.
Look at you signing out. Nadia Beckers signing out for Lamelle's. Yeah, you are the best.
There we go.
Thanks, Corin.
Fabulous. Thank you, guys. Listen to this podcast on all audio platforms and please share it with people who you think would value this information.